That's so obviously blurry. Great. Was it like that the whole time? I better not have been like that the whole time or I'll cry. Hey guys, it's Julian from Beneath the Bunk Studios and BeneathTheBunk.com. I hope you're doing wonderfully today. We are Beneath the Bunk discussing 2 things that you can do to make your reverb or room sounds just a little bit bigger. Let's get into it. So as you can see, we are in Pro Tools right now. In front of me, I have a song called Same Shit. It is by a band called Dumpweed, and you can check it out at the link in the description. Here's a little bit of what it sounds like. Cool little straightforward punk tune.
Same shit but a different day. Same shit for my toast and eggs. Same shit and it showed up late. Same shit but a different day.
So I'm pretty happy overall with the way that sounds. But let's say that I wanted to make the reverb a little bit bigger. I do have a snare reverb going on right here. Let's make all the snare stuff bigger. So I have a snare top, a snare bottom, a snare direct sample, a snare room sample, and a snare spike, which is, I'm not even going to go near that right now because that's a whole separate video. But anyway, we have our snare reverb right here. So the first thing that you can try doing in order to make your reverb sounds a little bit bigger and cut through the mix a little bit better if they're not doing what you want is to try some multiband saturation or saturation in general, but I prefer multiband after your reverb plugin on your reverb send. So let's check out what that looks like in practice. So here I have FabFilter Saturn 2, and on the original mix I did this on the room sample with the original Saturn, but Saturn 2 came out, so I'm going to use Saturn 2. What I have going on here is a mid-band, as you could see, with the drive pretty high. I'm exaggerating a little bit more than I would if I were really working on this mix so you could clearly hear the effect that I'm going for. But I'm going to play the mix without it, and it's so noticeable that I don't even have to play it in solo for you to tell what's going on. So I'm going to play the mix without it, and then I'm going to bring it in, and you're going to hear what's going on without it.
Same shit but a different day. Same shit for my toast and eggs. Same shit and it showed up late. Same shit but a different day.
With it.
Different day but I don't complain. Different day it's the same cum stain. It's kinda hard to keep the PMA.
Let's listen to it in solo and then hear it in the mix, just in case you didn't catch that. I think it's pretty noticeable. It just makes it really like have this cool, just something. I don't know. It just really helps it cut. So let's hear it in solo without it. Now with it. So yeah, it's pretty simple. I have the crossover on the left side at 292 hertz, and then I have the crossover on the right side at 1912.3 hertz, which is like a pretty broad spectrum, just really getting that mid-range to cut through. So let's hear it in the mix one more time. Without it.
Same shit but a different day. Same shit for my toast and eggs. Same shit
With it.
and it showed up late. Same shit but a different day. Different day but I don't complain. Different day it's the same cum stain. It's kinda hard.
Yeah, if you didn't hear it before, when I jacked the drive up even more, you definitely could hear it. But I love that. I think it really adds something to the snare sound. That's why I did it on the room sample in the original mix. But anyway, let's take that out. And let's go to the second thing that you can do to make your reverb or room sound bigger, which is a nice transient designer. Now, this isn't as applicable to a room sound because if you were to put this on a room track, it would make all your transients from your drums sound kind of crazy. Maybe try it on a room. Maybe it would be cool. I haven't tried it, but I have this set up before my snare reverb, and the reason for that is, and I've talked about this in the past in a way old video, the first How I Produced episode, actually, and the reason I have it before the snare reverb is because I want it to sound like the drummer is hitting the snare way harder than he actually is, and as a result of that, the snare reverb is really going to pop, and it's really going to sound like this, like a gunshot, as if it doesn't already sound like a gunshot. So without it, let's hear it.
Same shit but a different day. Same shit for my toast and eggs. Same shit and it showed up late. Same shit but a different day.
With it.
Different day but I don't complain. Different day it's the same cum stain. It's kinda hard to keep the PMA. Different day but the shit's still the
So really cool. Not too different from the effect that the multiband saturation was giving us. If you don't have a Transient Designer and you don't want to buy this one, just use some really aggressive compression settings, medium attack, fast release, play around with your attack times, and try to get something that really makes it sound like like it takes away the sustain a little bit. And we could even like take down the sustain. I've never experimented with that, but that could make some cool results. So check that out.
Same shit but a different day. Same shit for my toast and eggs. Same shit and it showed up late. Same shit but a different day. Different day but I don't complain.
I almost kind of like that better with the sustain rolled back, because what that's doing is it's focusing on the transient even more, and it's really just making that initial attack pop through way harder than it's actually popping through with just the snare. So there you have it. That's two things that you can do if you're not satisfied with the way your snare reverbs are sounding. You can also try this on tom reverbs, kick reverbs if you're into that kind of thing. I'm not really. I know some people are. But anyway, hope you got something out of this. Hope you enjoyed it. Do you have any tricks for making your reverbs cut through the mix? Let me know down below. Hopefully me or somebody else can learn from something that somebody else has to say. So let's get that going on. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.